Hey everyone, it's Drea with Abundant Life Divination, and this video is going to be an unboxing, walkthrough, and interview with my new horror tarot deck. So I just got this a day or so ago, and I did take the cellophane off to make things easier, but this is the horror deck and guidebook, and it was illustrated by Abigail Larson and written by Aria Gmitter and Minerva Siegel. I don't know if you can see that. The red is a little bit hard to see against the black, but the back of the box says, add an element of horror to your tarot experience with this spooky and unique take on the traditional 78 card tarot deck. This dark tarot features scenes and characters inspired by classic horror literature, films, and beyond, in gorgeous original illustrations. Featuring both major and minor arcana, the set also comes with a helpful guidebook explaining each card's meaning, as well as simple instructions for easy readings. Packaged in a sturdy decorative gift box, this terrifying collectible tarot deck is the perfect gift for the horror fan or tarot enthusiast. So starting off with the box, pretty normal, super sturdy. It's the slide off type, right? So nice and firm. Your cards probably won't get damaged by this unless you do some really, really horrible things to it. So once you open it up, we have the guidebook that's on top. Pretty substantial book compared to others that I have seen. And so once you open it up, it has the good table of contents, an introduction, how to understand your deck, and then it goes through each of the cards. Pretty nice illustrations, actually. Not a whole lot of description. So I'm assuming that this deck is probably going to be utilized by folks who have some experience reading tarot. It doesn't immediately strike me as a beginner's deck, which is fine, but we'll get into the flip through and see what it has to offer. But yeah, so once we sort of get to the end, we have the preparing to read tarot section, and they did include a few sample spreads, which are interesting. Hiding in the shadow, exorcising the demons. I'm going to have to look at that one a little bit closer. Deal with the devil. And that's about it. So book looks pretty good, pretty substantial. And once we get to the cards, we do have a ribbon to help get things out a little more easily. And nice little crevice for them to situate themselves in. And we have the cards. So you can see that the back, pretty plain, not a whole lot of decoration on it. But we have a little bit of red and black crisscross pattern here. So looking at the deck itself, the colors are pretty muted. And the one challenge that I see off the break is that the red against the black is a little bit hard to read. So unless you kind of memorize the the names of each individual card, it might be a little bit difficult to just kind of quickly glance at it and see what's going on. But let's work through the deck and see what we have going on. So the first card that we have here is the Fool. Then we have the Magician. And I think you can already tell that not all of these cards are going to follow the sort of traditional Rider-Waite imagery, which is why I thought that initially this was not going to be perhaps the best deck for beginners, because a lot of learning about tarot, you try to figure out the symbolism and the colors and things that come from Rider-Waite. But hey, if you feel comfortable, if you're drawn to it, go for it. So there's the Magician card. Here we have the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, which is pretty self-explanatory, looks like death, Temperance, which does not look at all like the Rider-Waite cards, but that's okay, still pretty, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, which is a little bit creepy. It kind of looks like it. I'm not sure that I see a whole lot of sun in this card, but maybe we're just looking at the yellow around the top, but all right. Judgment, the World. So that's the major arcana that we've gone through. Not too bad. Again, the colors are a little bit muted, so things can be a little bit hard to see if you're just sort of glancing at the cards initially, but you get the feel for it after a while. So starting with the minor arcana, we have the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Page of Swords, the Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Five of Swords, the Six of Swords, the Seven of Swords, Eight of Swords, Nine of Swords, and the 10 of Swords. So some of these are a little bit easier to interpret than others are. But again, it's a little bit interesting how some of the cards very much mimic Rider-Waite, other ones don't. So going with the Pentacles, we have the King of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles, the Seven of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, and the 10 of Pentacles. Next up, we have the Wands. So we start with the King of Wands, the Queen of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Page of Wands, the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands, the Five of Wands, the Six of Wands, the Seven of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the 10 of Wands. And last up, we have the Cups. So starting again with the King of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Page of Cups, the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups, the Four of Cups, the Five of Cups, the Six of Cups, the Seven of Cups, the Eight of Cups, the Nine of Cups, and the 10 of Cups. So I think out of all of the elements, the Cups is probably the closest to what you would see in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot. So if you get this deck, it's probably going to take a little bit for you to get acclimated to all of the cards, especially in the major arcana, because again, it's not, sort of strictly following what the Rider-Waite symbolism and imagery has to it, but it's something definitely different. There's an interesting feel to these cards, and we're going to get into an interview to see, at least for me, how they're going to function in my tarot readings and how I can get to know them a little bit better, learn a little bit more about how they sort of operate. From a physical perspective, the cards are actually pretty sturdy. They're not paper thin, and you can see that I just shuffled them. There's no creasing, there's no bending or anything like that. So I think that these will probably hold up for a pretty good amount of time, depending on the level of your usage, of course. There's no gilding around the sides, so you don't have to worry about anything sort of peeling off or rubbing off or any glitter getting onto your hand. So let's start the interview and see what these little babies have to share with me. So the first card out is going to be sort of the introduction, like for the deck. Tell me about yourself. You know, what is your most important characteristic? And what we have that came out is the 10 of Wands. So I almost feel like this deck is probably going to be best served by using it when you're feeling a little bit stressed, when you feel like you have a lot of weight on you and you're trying to figure out how to clear out some energy. Because the 10 of Wands is really about sort of carrying a burden and maybe figuring out how to release that. So it seems as though their strongest characteristic right now is that they are going to be guidance in terms of stressors that you encounter in life and, you know, how to either manage those stresses or how to sort of get rid of them altogether. Now, looking at the strengths of this deck, for my new deck, what are your strengths? We have the 2 of Wands. So this is a decision card. The 2 of Wands upright. So it feels as though this one of the primary strengths of this deck is going to be in helping guide the reader to a decision. It may highlight some choices that you need to make and then sort of bring you around to things that you need to consider, things that you might need to think through in order to make the best decision possible for yourself. Now, what are the limits that this deck has? What are the limits when it comes to using this deck? Any limitations? Okay, we have one that came out very reluctantly. And what we have is the 8 of Swords. So it feels like this deck is saying, I can give you all of the information you want in the world, but ultimately it's going to be up to you to make that choice. Like, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you to move forward. I can't tell you to stay where you are right now. What I can do, again, is provide choices, things for you to consider so that you can make your own decision, but I'm not here to do it for you. So it's kind of like, it almost feels like that friend that kind of shrugs their shoulders and it's like, well, you know what? It's up to you. Like, I said what I said, but ultimately, like, this is going to be a you thing. Like, the energy that I'm getting from this deck is actually kind of funny. It's like that laid back friend who's just like, bruh, listen, this is what I think. What you do with it is entirely up to you. So what this deck is here to teach me, we have the Ace of Swords. Okay, this is full on clarity. The Ace of Swords is a message, right? Because with the swords, it's air energy. It's all about communication. It's about intellect. It's about reasoning. So I feel like this deck is straight no chaser. Like, listen, if you want some gentle truths, I am not the one for you. So it's here to sort of blow through the smoke, if you will, that, you know, there's not going to be any sugarcoating with this deck. It's not going to coddle you. It is the absolute harsh truth as Spirit sees it. So how can I learn and collaborate from this deck? How can I work with you? How can I work with this deck? And what we have is the 7 of Swords in reverse. So when the 7 of Swords is upright, it's a very sneaky energy. It's very sort of underhanded, like it's half truths. And so the best way for me to work with this deck apparently is to be absolutely honest and be willing to accept that honesty in return. Again, this is very straight, no chaser energy where, other decks may be a little bit more cautious, maybe a little more gentle, maybe tiptoe around some things. But this one is like, I think not. Nope, nope, nope. So the best way that I can work with this deck is to be open and ready and willing to accept whatever comes out. Whatever blunt truth it has to offer, that's what it's going to be. So the potential outcome of our working relationship. Okay, that one came launching out. And we have the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is typically my watcher card. It's someone who is very, very observant. It's somebody who does not take action very quickly, but somebody who sort of thinks through things and collects all of the information that they can before they actually take any steps forward. So I feel like this deck is going to give a lot of things to consider, that it's going to sort of lay out all of the facts, and then you take that, or I take that information and do with it what I will. So it's not, in a place of specifically telling you what to do, but I do think that it's going to sort of illustrate the path. Like, if you decide to do this, then this. If you decide to do this or that, then that. But, I wish that you all could feel the energy that's coming through on these, because I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this deck. I think that it's really going to be that friend that kind of slaps you back into reality. So I'm looking forward to doing some readings for you guys with these cards, and I hope that you stick around for the journey. And I also hope that you enjoyed this horror tarot deck unboxing and flip through and interview, and like and subscribe if you did, and I will see you on the next reading.